Welcome to Casey Cares. We're the voice of Kansas City nonprofits, and we share the stories of local nonprofits and the individuals who drive them. You know, at Casey Cares, we connect the nonprofit community with the business sector to enhance the quality of life in Kansas City for our residents and our visitors. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. I'm Ruth Bombigas. While we're seeing prescription overdoses slowly decline, that progress doesn't take away the heartbreak felt by families who've lost someone they love. Karen Houck knows that pain all too well. In 2011, she lost her beautiful 20-year-old daughter, Alyssa, to an accidental prescription overdose, just 1 year after they moved to the Kansas City area. Out of unimaginable loss, Karen was determined to make sure Alyssa would be remembered. In 2017, she founded Alyssa's Wishes, a nonprofit built on a simple but powerful idea, spreading hope and kindness through painted rocks, and they're left in public places to brighten others' days. Karen joins us to share Alyssa's story, her own journey through grief, and the meaningful impact these small acts of kindness are making in Alyssa's memories. Karen, welcome to Casey Cares.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk about Alyssa.
Well, I want to start from the beginning. Your journey here with your daughter, and just share with us where you were at and then where things went.
Okay, surely. One correction, I was still in Louisiana. I had left New York in 2010. In 2011, before we got to the Kansas City area, I was living in Louisiana in Slidell. And Alyssa was home, stayed on Long Island with her dad. Her sister had already moved on and was living her life in New Jersey. And I got the call that no parent wants to ever get, that, she had gone to a party the night before and someone had given her a pain pill. And she got all the way home and her dad found her the next day when she did not get up for work. So it was a pill called Opana, which no one had heard of then, which no one has heard of now. And thankfully, it is now off the market because it's a drug that should have never been in pill form by prescription. It should have always been in a hospital setting, sort of thing. So that was in 2011. The first year, I basically laid on the couch. Second year, I kind of wanted to take down big pharmacy. That did not work out well, but that was the mission. And then in 2017, my husband took a transfer. He's from Overland Park. So we were coming back here to be near his family with a work transfer. And we bought our house. We're buying our house in Lee Summit. And a friend had found a ladybug kindness rock in Vero Beach, Florida. So she shared it with me and said, I don't know what this is, but these people down here do this thing. You guys are crafty. We have a long legacy with ladybugs, which I could tell you about as well. And she goes, it reminded me of you and Alyssa. And it was just around Alyssa's birthday, July. She goes, maybe you guys could do this. So her sister, Ashley, and I looked into it. And on that same day in 2017, we decided to do Alyssa's Wishes and paint and create kindness in Alyssa's honor, and try to get those messages out around the world. When she passed away, she had a bucket list, and on it was travel the world. So we thought by doing the rocks and sending them out into the universe, we would be able to fulfill one of the items that were on her mission. So. All
right, the ladybug.
Okay. So I have a degree in ornamental horticulture. I was kind of the hippie mom. So when my girls were little and we lived on Long Island, my Girl Scouts learned how to make compost. We let ladybugs free every year on Alyssa's birthday because it was July and they're considered integrated pest management. You use them for organic. They eat the bad bugs. So they'll eat the aphids on roses and tomato plants and such. So because I was organic and I was that person, ladybugs were always part of our story, and especially her story, because it was always part of her birthday party, was letting live ladybugs free. And her email was ladybugs, blah, 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 and they were just always around us. So the ladybug rock, when it was found, clearly my friend Charlene knew to think, thought of us immediately. in her. So,
Well, thank you for that science lesson. I didn't know that about ladybugs. I'm so psyched. And you know what? It seems like you don't see them much around here. You really have to look for them.
Well, you'll have to come over here in July because when we host Ladybug Day every year around her birthday, and part of what we do is we set them free. And then once you have them, they kind of populate in your yard. So they're still a thing that we do now.
Very cool. Well, as I mentioned in the introduction, it's somewhere nobody wants to be. You're part of a club that you never want to join. How were you able, though, in 2017 to say, okay, this is really what we should do, we want to do? What was it that spurred you to take action? Because many parents, and not that they need to, but don't. You
right.
did.
No, I get that. And I mean, again, at that point, I was 6 or so years into my grief journey. Grief is like a wave through the ocean. It's different all the time. It's different every day. It's different for reasons you can never really pinpoint sometimes. Mm-hmm. But at that point, we would do things in her honor. We're Long Islanders, so we would adopt a seal at the Marine Rescue, and everybody would donate money, and we would help rescue dogs. We had a rescue dog. I have a rescue dog now. You get a tattoo on her birthday. My dad, we all went from the funeral the day after the funeral and got tattoos. My dad, who was 76 at the time, had no ink. He got a penguin on his shoulder. So you do those things, but they're very singular for the day. They're very small. When I started painting the rocks, I realized that I had a tangible place to put my grief. Like the actual act of painting is putting it out of my body and into the universe. Also, I've come to find that I paint the things that other people need to hear. So a lot of the mantras that I tell myself is what I put on rocks. And I've come over the years now to find that other people need those, those little nudges as well. So I would say that we jumped in feet first because that tends to be who we are. And then Ashley and she was on the East Coast still, and I was here. And so we both got rocks, we both got paint pens, we both started just painting. And now it's really something I do just about every day. I paint, and it is very therapeutic. And I've gotten a lot of, I call them my kindness warriors that surround us that help paint and help get the rocks out in the universe. Some don't live here, some live here. And everybody does find that it is therapeutic, also helpful to help us, which is lovely, but also therapeutic for themselves to just paint.
How did you move forward with creating a nonprofit?
Well, and that's an interesting question, because when you sent me the questions to talk about today, you said, what is our greatest problem? And my paperwork is stuck in the middle of nonprofit land. So I am an incorporated nonprofit business in Missouri, but I'm not finished on the federal 501c, blah, 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 if that makes sense. So that's an interesting journey. I'm obviously not from here. There's a lot of things about Missouri that every day I say, oh, okay, Missouri, because it doesn't make sense. Personal property tax, et cetera. But so I'm working through that. And then for a little while, I was just mad that it all was a mess, and I stopped trying to fix it. But I feel like in 2026, I'm going to continue to move forward. I've come to find that most of the things that are donated to us don't have more kindness value and not monetary value, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about the library yet, but when we get to the library, we've got thousands of books donated to us. They're used. I'm still wrestling with how to fix that. So I guess to go back to specifically your question, it's half finished. And I'm not sure how to finish it, or what the benefits of finishing it is, other than seeking out big grants, I guess, grant money. Mm-hmm. it also feels like more work to have a board and all the things that come with that. So I have an A team. They
Well,
work for snacks.
you move forward though, which is great. You've kept
Yes.
with that desire. What would you say is your end goal or your ongoing goal with Alyssa's wishes?
Also a good question, because as time goes on, we try to do one more thing or another thing every year on her birthday. That's how this started. So we started in 2017, and each year we try to do something more. We started doing Ladybug Day, which was a paint party out front on our front lawn, and let the ladybugs free, and people would donate things we could raffle, and so it started like that. And then in 2020 we opened a library. It was COVID. I didn't really think about that. Everybody was home and the libraries were closed. Well, actually, we skipped something. In 2018, for her birthday, we created a permanent rock garden in front of our house. So I had my husband drag out this gigantic rock from the creek behind our house, and I painted it like a ladybug, and I have Long Island seashells around it. It's at the corner of our driveway, and it's available to everyone anytime. You could just come. So we always had a place for people to bring rocks. Kids are sitting out there, debating their rock they want for the day. We have a very magical neighborhood. So there's a lot of walkers here and bike riders. So we had done that in 2018. And then in 20, I said, well, what about those little cute library boxes? We were always library people. Her sister's a playwright. I was the Scholastic Book Chair person for more years than I'd like to admit. We read the first Harry Potter's, the first 4 out loud. We were in costume at Borders at midnight waiting for the new books to come out. We were those people. We always had a house library. I still have Alyssa's hardback Junie B's as those were coming out back in the day. So I said, oh, a library, that sounds fun. And because we were always we were already a destination for the kindness rocks, and everyone was home, the library hit the ground running. And it was one big box. Now it's been renovated and it's gigantic. But so that, I feel like I've run off the tangent of your question. Am I answering your question correctly? No. Okay.
No, that's
so
great.
every year we've done something more in honor of her birthday, I guess is really what I'm trying to say. And then, but as time goes on, that gets harder. So when you ask me about what my future goals are for Alyssa's wishes, that's a hard one to say, because right now we sticker our books. I don't have a sticker with me on the table, but when you have a little free library, you go on a world map, and everybody has a charter number, and there's an app you can follow them around and fill them and touch them. Our sticker has a ladybug, of course. It's called the Little Ladybug Library, and we sticker the books. Now you're supposed to do that to slow down booksellers, but that's not my concern. I'm like, if you need to take my used book to half price books to pay your bills, God bless, right? But we do it, and it's nice, it's cute, and it's something we do. Also very tangible for my hands to keep busy sorting donations and stickering and putting all the Seuss together and things like that. But they come in packs of 750. And early on in the story, when UPS still printed them for us, the woman said, oh, you must be doing great. This is the 4th pack of stickers you've had. And I was like, oh, I could do math on this book journey. We just crossed over 56,000 books have gone through my garage.
Wow.
In 5 years. So I feel like somewhere in there is my end goal. What we do now at Ladybug Days, we've done the last 2 years, is we open the garage to everyone, because there's a quadrillion books in there that might not go out by some 4-year-old picking it up out of the actual library on the front lawn. But, someone might want Kurt Vonnegut that's on the shelf, in the adult shelf. You know what I mean? So we open the garage to everybody and just let them take as many as they want. So
now is your library?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Pardon me. Your library is just at your home, right?
It is. It's originally it was a wood box, and then that first year I would see adults, pick up their kids to be able to pick out a book. So we made what's called the toddler annex, which is the bottom left box. So it's right at their size. So they could just open the door. And then because I do have a little OCD, I had to build one on the other side so it would be balanced. So each year that was different years. So 2020 was the first library, 21 was the toddler, 22 was the balance box. And then Missouri Weather took it out because it was wood, you know. So this is 25. So in 2024, we commissioned a big metal ladybug from our friends at Fossil Forge, which is a sign creating business downtown Lee Summit. And that's what's out there now. So she's the one gigantic big ladybug body and then the two small boxes on the below for each person to be able to get something.
Is that an idea or concept that you would like to inspire or empower others to do?
If that is sort of already happening organically, I've come to accept, sometimes slower than others on certain days, that the opportunities and the people find us or present themselves to us. I have people in different parts of Kansas City and Missouri, Kansas and Missouri, filling libraries for us now. I have a friend who lives up in Liberty, so I'll meet her once in a while and fill her car with books, and she will make sure all the little free libraries are filled up there. We help all classroom teachers constantly. I have a book basket pile going out on Thursday for someone who needs a raffle. So we do all those kinds of things. There's a very large homeschool community, which was something I was never familiar with on Long Island. It might be there now. I'm gone long enough to not know. So we help them with curriculum. We get a lot of retired teacher donations. So I have a lot of stuff to put back out into classrooms as well. So we're already doing that. One day recently, a couple months back, I was waiting in Independence in the square for my friend to get the books to go to Liberty. And I saw an empty, no door on it library by a church. And I reached out to some of our A-team members because there's a SWAT team of us. And her and her husband fixed the door, painted it. We just chartered it. We just got it on the map and we just filled it. So now there's an extra library in Independence that's really kind of like a little sister library of our library. So we're doing that already.
That's so cool. We're talking with Karen Houck. She is the creator, founder, and the love behind Alyssa's Wishes. All right, let's talk rocks.
Okay.
How do you do this? Where do you do it?
I could send you a photo. There's a permanent setup now next to my spot on the couch. I used to put it away for company, but that seems silly now. So I have a small table and then a snack tray table that I paint on pretty much every day. And even on the days where I don't paint the fronts, I write on the backs. I have rocks right here. I finished yesterday. So I write on the back, well, it's going to be backwards, but it says, when found, share a picture of this kindness rock at Alyssa's Wishes. And we hope that they show up and people actually do that. So even when I don't feel creative per se, I'm writing her name just about every day over and over and over and over again. So I do that here pretty much every night. I sit, a little TV, a little paint. So
do people order these from you? How do you get them out there?
Well, and in the beginning, I was able to kind of track where things would go. When we started, Ashley was still on the East Coast and her office was in Manhattan. So they always had a basket. And then people would say, oh, I'm going to Italy. Can I take a few rocks with me? And you'd kind of know that they got there, but it's always a bonus to hear when someone has found them. And I have a friend that is on Long Island that paints her own rocks, and she's a world traveler. So she's always somewhere. I just sent 60 rocks to a friend for her 60th birthday in North Carolina. We did them, and she's going to bring them around. She was just at a wedding in Aruba, so a few of them went to Aruba. So at one point, I was kind of able to backtrack and find out, or figure out where they started. Now I've lost all control. There's just too many, and it's been too long. So usually what will happen is something goes out to the garden. Like this morning, I went out and I top off the garden. I put 4 or 5 out, make sure the library's full. That's like my morning, every morning. And then like someone will pull up and just help themselves to them, which is the point of it. And then you'll hear about a rock that's found, you know, yesterday. Where was one? There was one yesterday. I was like, I think at the Legends. I'm like, oh, that was just in the garden. So somebody that was here went shopping there, left it somewhere, and then those people let us know they found it. You only hear about very few, but you have to have faith that they're out there doing their, doing the work. When people find them, they smile. And, social media is such a challenging place for a lot of reasons. So even sometimes if someone was to share a picture on their social media, I wouldn't see it because everybody's settings are different or, it doesn't work.
Yes.
And, all the things. It does take a little extra effort for someone to come find me to tell me that they found a rock. So it's always a bonus for me when I hear a story. And of course, because it's my universe, there's often a lot of, parents who've lost children or, there's a lot of big stories in those stories as well.
So do you drive around town and plant these? I mean, how do you spread that ripple of kindness?
I love the ripple. They're always in my purse. My purse is very heavy. Everybody laughs. Also, ironically or universally, I've seen myself talk or I've heard myself talk. I've seen things I've written before I did Alyssa's Wishes that I would call grief a bag of rocks that you carry with you wherever you go. Ashley got married without her sister. You do joyful things, but we did rocks. We had rocks, even we weren't doing rocks yet, but she had a baby. We did rocks for the baby shower. So we encourage people to take, take one as a souvenir, as a favor, and then take one to put out in your universe. So I've called grief a bag of rocks that you carry with you through all the joyful things you get to do every day. You still bring it, you bring it with you. So that's interesting. Both, the Southwest Sky Cap at KCI have rocks. Like the people know me now. So yes, I do leave them around given the opportunity, or I always hand them to someone when they get a tip. Or you go out to eat, you usually leave one, that kind of thing. So yeah, they do spread that way. And then, like I said, I do have people around the country that paint and share for us. And then there's just the random ones that show up that you hear about and you try to figure out how it got there. So it's a thing. On the r.org website, my husband has the maps. We just this past summer got to China and Japan.
Wow.
I know. So there's maps of all the places we've been around the world. That's very joyful for him to do. That's the part he helps with is the keeping up the website. So.
And it's alyssaswishes.org. ALYSSAWISHES.org.
Correct. And there's a lot of things there. This will go there eventually. And, all the things we get to do and some of her charities, things like that.
What are her charities? We've
always supported when she passed. I mean, everything happened so fast, obviously.
Yes.
We encourage people to not do flowers. And I'm in the horticulture business. So I've worked for a lot of florists, wedding florists, event florists. So I was like, don't do flowers. Please don't do flowers. Donate to Kent Animal Shelter is the one we do on Long Island. But we do a lot with that. We've done there's a Riverhead Marine Foundation, which is on Long Island is our aquarium. There's an aquarium. They do a lot of they save the turtles when they're cold stunned and those kinds of things. We do a lot with veterans. We have Kindness Warriors on our A team that lost a dad. And they do a lot with veterans and the Veterans Home over in Walker, Missouri. So this past November, we collected items like our patrons bring things. I put an extra tote out by the library and they bring things. It's a very generous community. And I'm trying to think, Project Happiness, LSMO, that's a BFF, one of my dearest friends that I've come to have here in Lee Summit, lives in our neighborhood. She runs her own charity and her own nonprofit. So she's there. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody without looking.
So is there an opportunity through your organization for you to lead classes to paint these rocks, or is it strictly you painting?
No, we have done that. And actually, other people have hosted that for us. We usually do all the fourth Fridays. So we try to do all the fourth Fridays at downtown Lee Summit. During COVID, we actually, with Give 7 Days, did a Zoom painting event. We get asked often, and I'm pretty much have paint pens will travel. I don't say no very often unless it's schedule based. The no, we painted up at Mimi's Pantry with the toddlers, with the littles and their moms or their families. So yeah, we feel like at Ladybug Day, that's the big paint party here. Like that's the annual biggie. But we do travel around as much as, if you ask me, chances are I'm going.
You have special rocks, though. Tell us about the rocks that you paint on. I mean, a rock is not just a rock.
No, that's true. Well, I'm a North Shore, Long Island Beach person. I raised my children in Rocky Point. You could see Connecticut in the winter from our house. Those rocks are the best. So obviously when I'm home, because they're white and smooth already, I'll send myself a box of rocks. And then I have to coax my sister and some friends throughout the year to send them in between. I do go and get rocks. I hand pick them, which is hysterical, at the landscape places around here in Lee Summit. Winter makes that a little bit hard. Amazon, of course, got on the bandwagon because they realized people are doing this thing around the country. So you could buy them that way, and those are pretty smooth and clean. And it's funny, as a horticulturist, I always use pine bark mulch. Like wood mulch is my personal choice. We were buying this house in Lee Summit while this was all happening. Like literally July is when I saw the rock. August, we're buying the house. This house has 4 billion pounds of rock in the backyard that the woman that owned it before used that for mulch everywhere. So ironically, in the beginning, I did it the other day. I was standing waiting for the dog, and I'm like picking up smooth, flat rocks from out in my yard. So it's pretty funny.
What do you need from volunteers in the community, and how can they connect?
That is awesome. I mean, other than, we do have an Amazon wish list. So, I mean, for us, it's stickers, it's batteries for the sound books for the toddlers. My husband always tries to fix them. We don't like putting them out if they don't work. I don't know, and they always come in. Well, half the time they come in not working. And book donations, that's how this all works. Pretty much 99% of the books, that 55,000 has shown up, has just been donated to us. It's funny. People are always thanking me, and I feel like I'm just a juggler now. I'm just facilitating the magic. Like it just happens, and somebody's got to go through the boxes. So,
Karen, you are doing amazing, spreading kindness through stone. Get stoned in a good way. I had to throw that out there. Sorry.
I would say that's all good.
Yeah. But please check out Alyssa's Wishes. They're doing wonderful work in our community, really and organic, truly, with the ladybugs and the rocks. And we just wish you continued good luck, success, and thanks for being on Casey Cares to share your story.
Well, I appreciate any opportunity, obviously, to talk about my girl and all that we're doing in her honor. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by a nonprofit called Charitable Communications. And this Casey Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. If you'd like to be a guest on Casey Cares, please visit our website, caseycaresonline.org, and you can spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at Casey Cares Radio and on Instagram at Casey Cares Online. And don't forget, you can catch us Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 a.m. and 94.5 FM. Thanks for joining us on Casey Cares.